WAGSY'S World, WAGSY'S World, it's awesome. WAGSY'S World, WAGSY'S World, have some fun. WAGSY'S World, WAGSY'S World, like and subscribe.
Hey everybody, I'm Wagsy. Welcome to WAGSY'S World. Today we got a great subject. What makes Willie Mays great? Oh my gosh, the Say Hey Kid. You know why they called him that? He used to always say hey when he would greet someone, so he became the Say Hey Kid. Please like, subscribe, ring the bell. I would appreciate it. And towards the end of the video, I've got some little known facts about the great Willie Mays. Let's get started. Willie was born in Alabama in 1931. He grew up with a baseball dad. His dad was a very good player in a local league, so he learned early. Some of Willie's favorite players, let's talk about those. Joe DiMaggio, Stan Musial, Ted Williams. Those are some pretty good idols. Willie went to high school in Alabama, and he was the quarterback on the football team and a basketball star. And of course, he played a little baseball as well. His pro career started in 1948 in the Negro minor leagues. He helped his team win the World Series of that league in 1948. Now, he was signed by the New York Giants, not the football New York Giants, the baseball New York Giants back in the day. He was signed in 1950. And then he went up to their major league. He would start in the minor leagues, and then he went up to their major league in 1951 as a center fielder, where he played all of his career, basically. Now, in 1951, the year he came up, he was the Rookie of the Year for Major League Baseball. Then he got drafted by the Army in 1952 for the Korean War. And he served 2 years in the Army, 52 and 53. Now, upon his release from his tour in 1954, his first at bat as a major leaguer that year, he hit a home run. Of course he did. He'd been gone a while, had to prove something. Now, that same year is when he made his famous over the head, which was called then the catch. I know we had the catch with the Niners, but the original, the catch, was Willie Mays running down a ball in deep center and catching it like this. Amazing. Now, that catch was regarded as his greatest catch in a career that had tons of unbelievable catches. He was a defensive gem. His excellence in the field was unbelievable. He was also the second player to join the 30-30 club. 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases in a season. That gives you an idea of his athleticism. Now, the Giants moved from New York to San Francisco in 1958, and Willie was there from 1958 to 1972. In 72, he went back and played for the New York Mets for a couple of years, kind of to finish his career in New York. So his career, let's talk about his lifetime stats. A career .302 hitter, 660 home runs, 3,283 hits. He stole 338 bases, was a 24-time All-Star. He won one World Series. That was kind of a knock on him. Didn't win a lot of pennants, but he did win one. And he was the National League MVP twice. He had 12, and I think they were consecutive, 12 Golden Glove Awards for his play in center field. He was a 4-time home run champ and a 4-time stolen base champ. Wow, 30-30 was even, and his home run to stolen base ratio was pretty close too, in the middle of his career. He was the member of the all-time baseball team, the baseball team of all time. He was a member. He was in the all-century team and went into the Hall of Fame first ballot in 1979. He was also called the Player of the Decade for the 60s. considering all that, the guy missed 2 years of his prime being in the service. So he probably could have padded those stats even more. And he's considered one of the best outfielders to ever play the game. He had 7,095 putouts from the center field position. With great range, speed, he could locate the ball. You know, he's a top 10 in so many categories. It's unbelievable. What a complete player. Known for his throwing arm. Many players got thrown out. They didn't think they would. He would throw them out from deep in the outfield. And most of the players that played with Willie and most of the coaches that coached with him or against him will say he was the greatest player of all time, including Don Zimmer, Willie Stargell, Roberto Clemente, so many of his peers. Now, me, why do I think he's great? Well, I didn't see him play much. I've seen some footage, and I saw him very late in his career. But I think the fact that he played with some of the greatest baseball players of all time for 20 years, it was like the golden era of baseball, honestly. There were so many pioneers and so many leaders in all the categories during that time. And yet all of those people said he was the greatest. And he performed at such a level against the greatest players of all time. I have to say, in my opinion, he's the greatest of all time. And you know, it's kind of like the Michael Jordan versus LeBron debate. If some people think it's a debate, I'm Michael, but anyway, it's kind of like that debate. Is it Babe Ruth or is it Willie Mays? Now, Babe Ruth obviously dominated his time, and the fact that he pitched also is tremendous. But I look at Willie, his all-around player. You know, they talk about 5-tool athletes. I mean, this guy could do it all. And they say his baseball IQ was off the charts. So, but running, hitting, for power, defense, all of it, I think he was the greatest. So that's what makes him great, in my opinion. Now, here's some little known facts about the great Willie Mays. He was the first baseball player to receive a $100,000 a year contract. He was first. He wore his hat. This one's great. He wore his hat one size too big. That way, when he ran down fly balls or balls hitting the gap, his hat would always fly off, make him look like he was running faster. And he did that to impress the fans and to psych out the other team. That's cool. The World Series MVP award has been renamed. It's the Willie Mays World Series MVP award. So that's kind of cool. Now, in the 70s, he was known to be, and didn't hide from it, he was friends with many members of the Gambino crime family. I mean, he was in New York, and they kind of ran that city then, so I guess that would make sense. Speaking of godfathers, he was the godfather to Barry Bonds. Yes, the great Barry Bonds. So I hope you enjoyed this little talk about the great Willie Mays, a few stats, a few opinions, and thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.
WAGSY'S World, WAGSY'S World, it's awesome. WAGSY'S World, WAGSY'S World, have some fun.